Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have quite a major update in regards to a couple of the injured players at Celtic. They could be returning very soon, should Martin O'Neill get his way. We also have a story in relation to one of their players that are currently loaned out of the club, with interest picking up for a permanent move elsewhere in the continent. So a couple of wee stories for this Tuesday afternoon, but of course the main positive being some of those injured players due to return soon. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We're only a few days away from Celtic's Scottish Cup semi-final against St Mirren. I'll be here all week leading up to that. Today we're going to start off with a couple of players who, by some miracle, could be available for selection this weekend. Should we get our hopes up? We'll talk about that, shall we? Alistair, Johnston and Callum Osmand, two players that Celtic fans have been desperate to see return since dropping out with injuries at different points in the season. Of course, Alistair Johnston, he's been out from way back when Brendan Rodgers was still in charge, when he picked up that injury against Sturm Graz in the Europa League. And then it was another Europa League game a month or so later where Callum Osmand had to drop out via injury after he went off against Midtjylland in Martin O'Neill's game away from home in Denmark. So it's been a long season without those two lads, in particular Alistair Johnston, who was a mainstay in the Celtic side since signing way back after the 2022 World Cup. It feels like a lifetime that both these guys have been out the squad, and we've been getting mixed reports all season as to when they will return. It's been up and down constantly. It feels like we've been getting news that Johnston is close to returning, then the injury gets re-aggravated. We've got news that Callum Osmand is near, and then we're told no, he's no. Well, Martin O'Neill has laid it out plain in black and white for us this morning. We could have a return date very soon, and they could be playing football as early as this week. So speaking in the Daily Record, this is what Martin O'Neill said about the situation. He said that we will try and get a bounce game for some of the players coming back. That was the plan for Alistair Johnston's return from his time in Canada. We were going to organise that, and it would help. We don't want to rush people back, but if they're feeling good and want to have a bounce game, that would be ideal. He then went on to say, I've not seen Jota, Carter-Vickers or Johnston through any of my two spells. These are guys who in the past have been automatic choices. So Martin O'Neill laying it out for us to see quite plainly. They could be back soon, they should be back soon, and this week, if they can organise one, they could be taking part in a bounce game, which would obviously aid the recovery, get them back up to speed a little bit quicker, and potentially give the manager an idea as to whether or not they're ready for Sunday's game or not. But in my own opinion, I think this news is good nonetheless. Whether they're available for selection this weekend or not, would it be ideal to have them this weekend? Yes, but realistically, I don't think that Alistair Johnston or Callum Osmand would be straight into the starting 11 anyway. I think this will be a gradual situation that we'll kind of ease them back into playing week in, week out with minutes in their legs whenever we can afford to give them that. I doubt that any of the two would be in the starting 11. So if I just even take away this game at the weekend, I think this is good news. Just great news to hear Alistair Johnston in particular is close to returning. We've missed him dearly this season. His impact on the right hand side, I think, has been more appreciated in his absence. I know we had that great wee run with Julian Araujo before he dropped out via injury, but Johnston is just a remarkable player when he's at his best, and somebody who gives that Celtic right hand side real ferocity. So looking forward to seeing him back. Hopefully they get the bounce game organised this week, and hopefully we see them in the team sheet this Sunday. However, there's no doubt there will be a general caution that exists within the support, just to make sure we don't repeat the mistakes that we've made already this season, rush players back too soon, and Martin O'Neill's already covered that. So look, there's not many games left, and if we want them to be involved, if we want them to play a part in trying to win this league title and then maybe beyond that the Scottish Cup, they're going to have to get into the team sooner rather than later. So it's finding that balance, isn't it? That cautiousness, as I said, will exist. I think fans will be worried that we rush into a bounce game and Johnston pulls up and there you go, he's out for another few weeks. But I think Martin O'Neill's speaking quite confidently. I think we should see them back soon. Good story to start off the day. Let's talk about Luis Palma. shall we? A little bit earlier than expected. I thought we'd be waiting until the end of the season to talk about Lewis Palmer's future, but remember, he's still a Celtic player. He has been on loan this year to Lech Poznan, as we all know, where allegedly he's done quite well, to the point where they would like to sign him permanently, and we'll come back to that. However, today he's been linked with a move to major Spanish side Sevilla. These were the headlines floating around this morning, that the forgotten Celtic star has emerged as a shock Sevilla transfer target, but it could hinge on one factor. In an article by Ryan McDonald and Mark Walker of the Daily Record, they went on to say that Sevilla are eyeing up a move for Celtic loan star Lewis Palmer next season if they can stay clear of relegation from La Liga. He's currently on loan at Lech Poznan, with that stint set to conclude in the coming weeks before returning to Scotland. So reports in Spain saying that Sevilla are interested in Luis Palma. If you were surprised by what I just said a moment ago, yes, Sevilla aren't in a great place right now. They could go down if they stay up. Apparently they want to make him one of their players. The reports are suggesting that he is on Sevilla's radar, with the club weighing up a move either on loan or a permanent basis. They currently sit just 2 places and 2 points clear of the relegation zone in Spain's top flight. So that's huge, I suppose, when you consider the size of a club like Sevilla. They haven't been great in recent years, I understand that, but I'm sure it's something that would interest the Honduran. Warm weather country, big history, 7-time winners of the Europa League, and of course won it quite a bit in recent memory. So I think it's an interesting prospect. I'm sure that he would be interested in that move. There was an article that came out, I think it was last week, and it was an interview with Lewis Palmer saying he would still be determined to succeed at Celtic, but I don't see much of a future available to him at the club. Now, of course, Sevilla aren't the only interested party. We do need to talk about the club that he's currently on loan with, Lech Poznan, because they have made it clear they would like to sign him next year for that fee that's included in the deal, which is around £3.5 million. Now, these were the words of one of the executives. I think it was the manager, actually, Fredriksson, who said last week that he will decide on his future. In my opinion, he's happy here at Poznan, but none of us will know at the summer. But there has been interest expressed over making that deal permanent for the £3.5 million. I think if you go back a few months ago, we made a video on this where it was like they want it to happen. £3.5 million might be a little bit too much. They would like to bring that fee down. So there's no shortage of interested parties in Lewis Palmer this summer. I think it's pretty much guaranteed that he'll leave Celtic. It's just a question how much money and who to. As you can see, he's played pretty much every game this season for Lech Poznan, with 25 league appearances alone. In that league stint, he's scored 6 and assisted 5. So he's been in decent form, much better form than what he ever really struck at Celtic by the sounds of it. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know there was some people who were bringing up the fact maybe we should consider using him next year and keeping him around. But if we're going to go through a rebuild, let's not cut corners. I think we should do the rebuild properly. Lewis Palmer is somebody who never really took to it here in Scotland, never really took to it at Celtic. There's a reason why we loaned him out. I think that we need to be signing bigger and better next year. But who knows? We'll wait and see what happens upon his return. If the offers are even to the amount of money Celtic want, is the main thing. So we'll wait and see, but I think it'll be off next year. And as of 1:30 this afternoon, that's pretty much all there is in the news. It's a quiet day at Celtic. However, that initial story that we spoke about, the returns or the potential imminent returns of Alistair, Johnston and Callum Osmand, that's a big one today. We'll wait and see what we hear as the week goes on about that, and if we get a bounce game organised. But yeah, that's essentially it. A short one, a nice and quick one today for you all. If you've enjoyed, you know what to do. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. And as I said, I'll be here all week anyway. So take care of yourself. God bless, and I'll see you all next time.